Today on Context, the gift of life, one family, a terminal illness, and the choices we make at the end and the beginning of life.
Never do questions of life and death have more resonance than when they become personal. In this special edition of Context, Lorna goes on location in Manitoba for her own family exploration of life, death, dignity, and the divine force that guides it all. Then meet a pastor and filmmaker with their perspective. Their story is part of a remarkable new documentary, The Dropbox, a story of abandonment, then rescue and hope in the lives of Korean infants.
Recent debates over assisted suicide and infanticide have called into question long-held beliefs about the high value of human life. Choice about death is becoming a pressing societal question. And to begin looking for answers, I went on location, back to our family farm, because this issue, for all of us, is personal. Our landscape shapes how we look at life, a reality that shifts with our seasons. Life can look dormant, frozen. This is my sister-in-law, Margaret. She is in the winter of her landscape, still beautiful, but we've lost the ability to communicate in the quick words and laughter that marked 30 years of our friendship. Margaret's vocal cords, like the rest of her muscles, are paralyzed by multiple system atrophy. She can no longer speak, but she has a story to tell. We'll do this interview through a combination of an iPad, her husband's translation, and the knowing that comes from decades of relationship. Mark's husband Ben and my husband Vern are brothers. We began married life on the old homestead next to Ben's farm, but we soon moved to the city. Ben settled in for a family farm. I could never have imagined I'd be coming back to this familiar lane to report on an issue facing Canada, euthanasia, and how do you live when quality of life is lost? Persistence is stock equipment for farmers like Ben and Margaret. Eventually, it was the doctor closest to home who brought the bad news: a neurological degenerative disease, multiple system atrophy. They looked tirelessly for a cure.
We went all through going to Mayo and through the stem cell thing, thinking that, somehow we are going to be able to find something. The doctors are going to be able to do something. When we go to the movement center in Winnipeg, when a doctor says, oh, well, how are you doing, or whatever, and this and then, okay, go home, and is there something you can do? No, we don't know anything. Like, that's frustrating because we want to be in control. We want to take a pill or take something that will fix it. In most cases, it is. But in this case, what we found out, there's nothing you can do.
4 years after that diagnosis, Marg's independence is only a memory. She's been an ambitious woman with a zest for the outdoors, holidays with the kids and Ben, the open ride of her motorcycle, and most of all, love for her family.
I've missed talking with her. She always gave me a hug if I needed help with anything or I needed just a lending ear. I just miss her talking and being able to hold my kids. I was looking forward to Mom being the grandma that I know she always wanted to be.
Marg was determined to live to see those grandchildren. Family holidays were adjusted. But those times are now gone. Keeping upright is just too hard a battle. Ben and Marg's wheels have been traded from the Harley to a golf cart. 2 strong sons have dropped their independence too and come back home.
Jared was at school in Saskatchewan and I was over playing hockey in Sweden, and Dad and Mom kind of needed a little more help at home and that, so came home here instead and tried to be around wherever there needs to be help.
I think we're more kind of to help support Dad, and he's more of the nursing. Like, he helps Mom the most and stuff, but I think we're there to help him out when we need to and kind of make sure that he's still staying strong through it all.
So you're running his farm, really?
Wow. I don't know if he wants to.
I think he's still pulling the strings.
College is on hold. A different education is underway.
Seeing how Mom has through this disease, she never complains about anything, and how she's always thinking about us more than herself, and you see that, and it gives you that appreciation for what they do, and also just that it isn't all about ourselves type of a thing. Like, career building, that like you can get caught up thinking, well, where am I going to be or what of that, but I think it's definitely learning how to put others before yourself, and the example that they've shown is probably the biggest thing that I've gained out of it in that way.
Just looking at the way Dad's been with Mom, it's really been an inspiration for how I want to live my life, and just the example he's been. And
Daughter Carla has flipped the age-old question of why God allows suffering.
Why does God allow so much goodness? And so that's been something that I've tried to do and tried to think about when it gets tough with Mom and it's sad and we think about all the things that we've lost. I think of all the good things that we have. How my brothers are at home and we're able to be together and our family.
Well, it really works. I don't think so. You don't think so? Well, I don't remember.
My mom can have a relationship with my kids. It's not the same as what I wanted, but she's able to be with my kids. She's able to hold both of them when they're still.
Hi, guys. Hi, guys. Where's Mama?
Where's the header?
Right there.
Where? You point to it.
There.
Where's the auger?
A new normal is also good.
There's lots of sad times, but Marg is always upbeat, and I think that's I think that's the biggest thing. I tend to be more emotional than she does, and I don't know where she gains that courage or that acceptance, but it makes it easier, much easier.
Marg was always the cook in charge, and they still need Marg's sharp mind to move her eyes to where a seldom used utensil has been tucked away.
Oh, no way, not again. I can't believe it.
I tell you,
The Lord is good, and that He has a plan, and we don't know what the outcome it is, but knowing that His plans are greater than what we could ever imagine or even think. And so just trusting Him and growing in the joy that there is, in knowing that life is more than just about kind of comfort and wealth and good things like that. The Lord may bless us with that, but He may call us to a different type of life as well, and just the joy that comes in salvation from Him, and that's the thing that we can focus on, and the joy that we have, not in our circumstances right now.
We're navigating this road right now, but I guess the chances are that every one of us will go through this at one time of our life. The chances of husband or wife or, we're all family leaving at one time. It's we're just doing it now, which we think is, well, I know it's way too soon, but I guess it's something that everybody's gonna have to do, like it or not.
The roadmap for this family is their Christian faith.
Probably count on my hand, since we've been married, the times we haven't, prayed together at night, although now it's getting easier because I don't understand Marg and I can't hear her. So I say, "Are you done?" She says, "Yeah." And personally for me, and I don't know for her, it's a big thing, but that's the part that I miss the most. I miss Marg's voice.
A weekly trip to their country church is still a highlight. The hope of heaven anchors Margaret. She has thought a lot, and euthanasia is not a choice she would make.
And God has a plan for you, right? Or for us?
For Margaret, God's plan is that her frozen life gives life to others. Ben reads from Marg's iPad.
Ben and my kids' love for me helped me face tomorrow. And I mean, I know, or we know, that it's uncertain, and I guess we like to say we and the kids don't have fears. You know, that would be really, you know, wouldn't be right. We do, but right now we love each other and put our trust in a God who has made us and promised to be with us. And I guess that's, I think you said you've always said that's what keeps you, you know, going, is that trust and that hope.
Humanly, we have to say goodbye to someone for them to enter into that. But I'm so excited for that, that healing. And I know that as difficult as this is, I just can't imagine going through all of this and not having that hope or that assurance that my mom is going to be made whole when she sees Jesus, and she's going to be able to run her marathons, and she's going to be able to, I don't know if there's some farm there, she's going to be on the top of the bins and running around and doing everything all over again, and that just makes it a little easier.
That trip back to the family farm reminded us to have on our website a collection of links for dealing with end-of-life questions. And you can find those at contextwithlorna.com. And now, the other end of life. Coming up, we bring you a powerful new documentary about saving babies and the man whose work inspired it. Your chance now to win a free book that goes deeper into life and death. So head to our website, enter to win Lorna's books. And my pick on this topic is What Happens When I Die? A Promise of the Afterlife by my friend Brian Stiller. Fact-filled book about how to prepare for heaven. Simply go to our website, contextwithlorna.com, and click on Lorna's books to win your free copy. Good luck.
This segment is brought to you by Bruce Etherington and Associates, Family Harmony and Philanthropy, helping you help others.
In a moment, meet the man who inspired a fascinating new documentary about preventing the abandonment and death of infants. But first, here's Sheldon with In 60.
Well, in many cultures, a disability is a mark of shame. Children with disabilities are abandoned or institutionalized and hidden from sight. In South Korea, it is estimated more than 3,000 children orphaned because of their disabilities. The Los Angeles Times reported the story of one man, Pastor Lee Jung-rok, who built a Dropbox on the outer wall of his home to save these babies. He opened an orphanage to care for children on the bottom rung of society. Film students at the University of Southern California heard about this story and set out to investigate. They packed their cameras and traveled to South Korea. The result, well, is a new movie to be released this spring called The Dropbox. It raises difficult questions about how we treat the value of human life.
Well, meet the man behind the Dropbox, Pastor Lee Jung-rok of Korea, and the filmmaker who brought the story to North America, Brian Ivey. Gentlemen, welcome both of you to Context.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
Pastor Lee, this story began with you and the birth of Unman. He's now 29 years old. He has cerebral palsy. It turned your world upside down at first, did it not? It devastated you.
He was born with a deformity on his face, and as soon as I saw him, I was blaming God. I prayed to you for this baby. But how could you give me this kind of baby?
Well, it is Unman that has brought us to talk today. All the way you from South Korea, Brian from Los Angeles. Pastor, this encounter that you've had with your own severely disabled child led you to the idea of rescuing other babies like him that were not expected. And you created the Dropbox. How did that idea come to you?
At 3 a.m., I got a call from somebody. My wife answered the call, and she felt it was strange because he didn't say anything but in front of the door, and he sighed. And we thought, okay, something's up, and we ran out to the door. And there was a baby inside a cardboard box. And it was a cardboard box that was used to contain fish before, and there was a baby inside. So we picked him up, picked the baby up, and we embraced him. I could sense that the baby was suffering from hypothermia. I was really fearful of the fact that the baby could have died in front of our very own door. That was the beginning of the discussion.
And the baby box is a discussion that has now reverberated around the world. Brian, it landed in your film class in Los Angeles. What did you encounter when you got to Pastor Jung in South Korea? What started to happen in your psyche as you found yourself in this orphanage of unwanted babies?
Well, I became a Christian while making this film. And
okay, what spiritual condition were you in as you were just a normal, typical filmmaker? Describe us to that.
Well, I think for me, you know, I'm from the States, so most people think they're Christians because they don't smoke cigarettes and they watch Fox News, you know. So I think Christianity for me was kind of a label. It was just decorative, you know. It was just something I did because I wasn't a Muslim or a Jew. I was a Christian, you know, and so it was something I wore like a Christmas sweater. And even when I went to go make this movie with him, who was just a photograph for a long time until we arrived there, I bought a cross necklace on Amazon for $8 because I wanted to communicate with him in some way and show him that, you know, hey, you know, I'm on your side. You know, I get it. I know why you do what you do. But I really didn't know. And we've all heard about the cross, probably at church or maybe in the movies, but at some point the cross can't be something you buy on Amazon for $8. It has to be what bought you. And I wanted to know where all the love came from that made this man do what he did. And I found out.
Wow. Yeah. What did you tell him, Pastor? What did you tell this poser with the $8 cross where this love came from?
At first, he came with a wooden cross around his neck, so I thought he was a Christian. But as I was living with him more, I realized that his spiritual condition was rather obscure, and I prayed for him more and more. God, this young man that you love so much, you have sent him all the way to Korea. Would you please work within and through him? And would you please use this documentary because you have started this? Would you please accomplish your will through this? And I was praying like that. I observed him, but more and more I could see changes in his eyes. He was praying, and he was praying when we were having services, and it was just so obvious that he was becoming more and more genuine. And I could see that the direction of the documentary was going towards a direction that Brian didn't intend before, but it was obvious he was being obedient, more obedient to God.
Brian, you encountered a holy man of God who deeply knew what it was to walk with God in sacrifice, in suffering, and in incredible love. What changed then about your attitude toward God for yourself?
Well, he's living proof of a loving God. A lot of people categorize sin as kind of like, okay, you have drugs and alcohol and Hitler and, you know, this is a sin, right? But the sin underneath every sin is pride. It says, I don't need to be saved. I'm okay. I'm good enough, and I'll climb my own ladder. And I think when I met these kids in their brokenness, it showed me that I had this pity for them at first, but ultimately I found a kinship with them. A lot of them have disabilities and deformities, and I realized I had a lot in my own heart, and they weren't visible, but I had addictions to pornography. I was in a really abusive relationship. I was really broken, and eventually I found myself the same as those kids on the floor, where I was sleeping with them. And I think the Dropbox to me symbolized where we all belong, a place where we say, God, I give up, I need you. As far as living forever, we're all as helpless as any of these kids, and I need to be saved and rescued. And his story is the story of a man, him, as well as me, were both rescued in order to become rescuers. We weren't natural-born heroes or anything like that. The good work didn't begin with us, it began with God. And now we do it because we love him and want to serve him well.
Pastor, not everybody has been as complimentary. There's actually been an international controversy over should babies be rescued in boxes. I want us to play a little clip of Brian's movie that gives voice to the questions that you and your project have started.
We consider that baby boxes are dangerous, and because they don't uphold children's rights or parental rights. And it will be, I think, over time, seen as an ancient practice that is unacceptable and not really a part of the 21st century.
In Chester County, a teenager was arrested after police say she delivered her premature baby in her high school's bathroom and threw it in the trash can.
Later responded to a call, baby not breathing, and I found a young baby wrapped up in a plastic bag inside of a building in Albertson.
In August, a baby girl was spotted in a river in Fuzhou. She had drowned. Police say she had undergone an operation, and they suspect she was given up by her parents. A newborn was found dead in a dust heap in Nanjing with his umbilical cord still.
Pastor Lee, how do you respond to the criticism that if we create places, orphanages like yours, it will only encourage more people to abandon their babies? It's not stopping the problem at the right place.
그건 말이 안 됩니다.
That we aggravate abandonment does not make sense to begin with. When we first made the box, it was for those babies that were going to be abandoned. But if you had to abandon, give up your baby, this was the place to do it. When we first made it, human beings are not trash. They're not garbage. They're not to be thrown away. They're not to be abandoned. They have the right to be happy. They have the right to live. It is a box that was designed to save and rescue those lives.
And why do you think we in North America, this documentary is going to be opening in theaters, why do we need to hear this story?
이런 베이비 박스가 많이 있습니다.
Life is so precious, and there are such baby boxes everywhere globally. As far as to my knowledge, there are 19 nations who operate something like this. I can't just walk by someone who is drowning, and it's amazing that people are being touched because it is something that God has done.
Pastor Lee, you have told us a very big story about living a life of love. It's changed Brian's life by being with you. I was changed as I watched how you loved Unman and your wife and your babies and the volunteers who come to help you. Thank you for being a radical follower of Jesus. Pastor Lee Jung-rak, the pastor behind the Dropbox, Rescuing Orphans, and Brian Ivey, the documentary filmmaker who captured the story, with us at Context. Thank you. And now Sheldon Neal has a question for you at home.
Thank you, Lorna. We want to ask you this. Do you think our society values people with visible disabilities less than those who appear strong and healthy? Why or why not? We want to hear your thoughts on this one. Contact us by any of the means you see there on the screen, or why don't you give us a call at 1-800-215-4913, email us at comments@contextwithlorna.com, and find us on Facebook and Twitter at Context TV.
When we come back, some reflections on life, its value, and our responsibility for it. at Context, we love to hear from you, our viewers at home. Recently, David wrote, "Your show is ridiculous. Hopefully no tax dollars are funding this garbage." Well, David, you'll be happy to know that our show is entirely funded by our viewers. And we'd like to take this opportunity to say how much we appreciate your donations to help us share Christian stories. Thank you for helping us make television we can all be proud of. Well, everyone except for David.
I'm Rose Meter. I'm a mom, a wife, and an ER doctor in rural Canada. This year, my husband Rob and I have decided to take our 4 kids on a trip around the world. We have no idea what lies ahead. I'll be updating our journey on the Context with Lorna Dueck website with blog posts and videos about our triumphs and trials and adventures. Won't you join us?
Missed an episode? Catch up with our podcasts. Get up to date on the latest conversations from beyond the headlines. Simply go to our website, click on our link to find current and past podcasts on iTunes. It's free, don't delay. Well, as Canadians do the hard work of discussing should euthanasia be legalized coast to coast as it is in Quebec, you can expect to hear life stories like we looked at today. We judge quality of life by what people experience. There's a curious thing, though, about how some people face this. These are the folk who say quality of life is reflected by quality of relationship with God. Suffering then becomes a shared concept that brings out love. A broken body is to be cared for and shared with others. Such action follows the example of Jesus, whose physical body was broken and then resurrected into perfection. When those who suffer say yes to Jesus, that hope of a new beginning in Jesus' home of heaven then fuels their focus on waiting for natural death. We've learned that dying is not easy, but it is a great gift to be able to die well with the truth of heaven in view. We've left more on this at our website, and we do answer all of our mail on this challenging subject. So get in touch with us at contextwithlorna.com, and let's continue the conversation. For all of us, I'm Lorna Dueck. Thank you for watching, and join us next week as we explore life beyond the headlines.
I was just very inspired, and it's phenomenal. It actually reminded me of Mother Teresa, who did a very similar thing. Just started loving one person, one man, and then continued to build to a whole community. And I actually don't really understand the controversy. I mean, I do to some degree, but I guess I don't agree with it. I think, how can you not love babies who are the most vulnerable in our world? They cannot do anything for themselves. So I can't see how anybody would be opposed to that. So I just think, yeah, he reflected everything true and good about God in his life.
I think that was the great message behind the pastor, was that he's caring for their lives and giving it value, because that's ultimately what matters. Each individual matters, each life matters.
It's not too late to send us your comments. Voicemail, email, Facebook, or Twitter. The conversation continues.